Hello dear learners, welcome to SWAYAM NPTEL course on Methodology of Educational Research, and I am Dr. Sarita Anand from Department of Education, Vinay Bhavan, Vishwabharati Shantiniketan. And today we will talk about the module 48, Observation Method, and this is the lecture 48. And before going to the lecture, we will go through the concepts covered till now. We have covered the interview as a tool and technique of data collection, significance of research interviews in gathering the primary data, fundamental types of interviews in research, steps of conducting a research interview, 10 steps were there, and the methods of research interviews, the personal and telephonic. Then now we will start with the observation method. This observation method or observation may be defined as a process in which one or more persons observe some real life situation, process or event and record pertinent occurrences. It is used to evaluate the overt behavior traits of the individuals in controlled and uncontrolled situations. Observation is a research method in which data are collected by the researcher or trained research staff through systematic watching of the research situation and the subject of that research. In this method, the investigator directly observes the natural phenomena as they occur, interprets what is happening there and draws a logical conclusion from these observations. These conclusions are then used to formulate hypotheses or predictions about cause and effect relationships, and over the time the researcher tests these hypotheses and attempts to develop theories that explain why certain behavior or events occur. The observation method is particularly suitable for complex research situations that are difficult to measure using other techniques. It is widely used in fields such as nursing, education, sociology, social work, where understanding real life interactions and behaviors is essential. However, observation as a research method also presents certain challenges, like the presence of researcher or the research team may alter the natural behavior of the participants, making it difficult to determine whether the observed behavior truly reflects normal condition. And if we go for taking the example, suppose the nursing staff are informed in advance that they will be observed, their interaction with the patients may change and resulting in the behavior change that differs from the routine practice. Similarly, in the example of education, if we as a teacher know that our vice chancellor is coming to observe, then our natural behavior pattern and natural interaction with the students will definitely little bit change. So, this effort to maintain the natural research settings through observation have also raised important ethical concerns. Observing and recording behavior without the participants' knowledge may violate the fundamental ethical principles, particularly the individual's right to privacy. Therefore, ethical safeguards and informed consents are essential when using observation as a research tool. The elements of observation method, there are four main elements. First one is decision related to observation involve clearly define the outcomes to be studied and determining the specific content or behavior that will be observed at the time of observation. This stage includes the development of an observation guide, which serves as the researcher's operational description of what has been selected for observation, as well as the instrument used for systematically recording the observational data. It also involves the decisions regarding the observers themselves, including their identification, selection of or recruitment and training to ensure the consistency and accuracy in the observation. And the fourth element is another important consideration is the nature of interaction between the respondent and the observer. This includes whether the respondent is aware of being observed, whether observation occurs directly in the natural research setting or through an indirect medium, and how the respondent perceive the identity or the role of the observer. So, observation inherently involves some level of interaction between the researcher and the respondent, during which the researcher has the opportunity to study the respondent's functioning. To ensure systematic observation, the researcher prepares an observation guide or schedule and trains the observers in its proper use. If that is the research project and we are hiring the research assistant, etc. The observer's role may vary from simply describing observed behavior to making informed judgments based on the observation. In direct observation technique, to observer obtains data by simply watching the research situation, and in the indirect observation technique includes motion pictures, television, videotape or other devices recording. The events in research situation are recorded or transmitted so that observer sees the research situation indirectly. Maybe we are sitting inside the room and watching the CCTV camera recording, that is indirect observation, where the respondent is not knowing that they are being observed. Participant observation technique involves the observer becoming an active participant within the research setting. This integration helps make the research environment appear more natural and realistic, thereby reducing the artificiality in the observed behavior of the respondents or the subjects of the research. However, a major limitation of this approach is that it places a complex and demanding role of the participant observer, who must simultaneously engage in the situation and objectively observe and record the relevant data without telling them that he is observing them in the natural setting. This is not like the movies where we easily heroes identify, hide their identity in the movies. Here at the time of research, it is a little bit difficult to mix with the real subjects at the environment where you are going for the observation. So, here is the varied type of observation, like classification based on the nature of the participation of the subjects, that complete participation observation, complete or semi participant observation, then the classification and structured completion of the questions, maybe the non-structured observation and structured observation, we can divide it, and then the classification based on the nature of the controlled observation during the study, like controlled observation and uncontrolled observation, and the fourth one is classification based on the number of subject observed at the time. So, individual observation and group observation, this kind of classifications are available in different book on the basis of different criteria, but basically when we talk about the observation, there is mainly two types of observation, participant observation and non-participant observation. When if we are focusing on the observation in educational researches, basically we go for the non-participant observation, and in ethnographic researches we go for the participant observation. So, these participant observation is in the process of participant observation, there is observer becomes more or less one of the group member and may actually participate in some activity or the other of the group. The observer may play any one of the several roles in the observation with varying degree of participation, as a visitor, an attentive listener or eager learner, or like a family friend or a neighbor or a distant relative. This kind of role play they do and go for the participant observation for their research. And the non-participant observation, in the process of non-participant observation, the observer takes a position where his or her presence is not felt by the group. He or she may follow closely the behavior trait of an individual or the characteristics of the group. Like suppose the FSH group, self-help groups are sitting there and they are talking, and the researcher is sitting from a distance, he is observing. So, this is called non-participant observation. If you are going to conduct a study on the delinquent child or maybe students behavior in related with the disciplinary issues, then we can stand somewhere in the school or corridor and we can observe the particular student or a group of students through the non-participatory observation. Now, the observation may be also classified in two categories related with the procedure, like structured observation and unstructured observation. Similarly, like we do in the interviews, very structured interviews and unstructured interviews. Similarly, here a structured observation is a formal in nature and is employed to obtain a systematic and objective description of behavior, often for testing causal hypothesis. It is usually conducted in the controlled environment such as laboratories or home. This type of observation begins with the clear, defined and specific objectives, and the observer has limited flexibility regarding what is to be observed as the categories of behavior or traits are predetermined. Like we in teacher education department, we go for the B.Ed internship programs, and in that B.Ed internship program, method teachers and subject teacher or school teachers are becoming the observer, and they are going for the teaching skills. That skills are structured and observations are having some categories, and according to that skills we observe the teacher trainees. So, that observation comes under the structured observation. These categories are established in advance to guide analysis, and observer also works within a specified time frame for recording the observation. The second type is unstructured observation. Here in unstructured observation, on the other hand, commonly linked with the participant observation and is primarily exploratory in nature. In this approach, behaviors or traits are not classified into fixed categories before observation begins. Instead, the observer focuses on the understanding of the behavior within the natural context and situational settings, and he observes or she observes that what is going on around him in that particular research situation, and after that he tries to compile the observed phenomena. So, greater emphasis is placed on the capturing the overall meaning and interaction of behaviors as they occur in the natural environment. Having understood the different types of observation, attention can now be directed towards the understanding the process involved in using observation as a research tool. So, stages are there in the observation process. Let us go through the stages. As an effective research technique, observation requires careful planning, skilled implementation and systematic recording and interpretation. These stages are outlined like first, initially planning of observation. The planning stage involves clearly identifying the specific behavior, traits, attributes to observe, and it also includes determining the nature of the subjects or the groups to be studied, deciding whether the observation will focus on individual or group, fixing the duration of each observation session, and selecting the appropriate tools and methods for observing and recording the data. Like you are going to prepare the observation schedule or some checklist, or you are going to record it on the videography or audio recording, something you have to decide in the planning stage. Then the execution of observation. Effective execution of observation demands expertise and included several key aspects. Like these involves arranging suitable conditions for the subjects being observed, adopting appropriate role or physical positions to facilitate accurate observation, and concentrating attention on the identified behaviors or traits handling recording instruments efficiently and applying to observers training and experience judiciously to ensure accurate observation and factual recording of that observed phenomena. Now, development of observation schedule. The construction of an observation schedule involves the systematic development of instrument design to collect the relevant information related to research problem. The process begins with the preparing a clear blueprint of the instrument like we do in every research tool construction, which outlines the major dimensions and aspects of the problem area to be investigated. This blueprint serves as a guiding framework for entire tool. So, after that the researcher must then collect all relevant information that may be required through the questions. Each aspect of the problem should be considered separately to ensure the comprehensive coverage. Besides on this, the approximate length of the instrument is estimated by determining the number of questions required under each category. Throughout this stage, the researcher must consistently keep in mind the purpose of the research. Do not forget the purpose for following the questions. So, the overall structure of the instrument should be ready according to the objectives, and on the initial draft is prepared, the researcher proceed for the pilot's testing phase, and which helps to assess the clarity of language, appropriateness of questions and alignment with the research objective. These questions if required then you can ask, otherwise only silent observation can solve the issue by ticking or noting the observed phenomena. Now, the steps in developing observation schedule. First, preliminary decisions which we have discussed, that at this stage decide the form schedule, whether structured, semi-structured or unstructured schedule. Then the type of information to be collected, identify the variables, clearly define it in the operational terms. Then a suitable system of coding and recording responses is developed. Then go for the drafting the schedule. In this drafting the schedule, during this process careful attention to given for wording of each questions to ensure clarity. So, wording should be selected properly and simplicity and relevant words should be used for the drafting the schedule. The logical sequencing of questions is also decided to maintain the flow and respondent comfort. So, go for the easy to tough questioning or the phenomena which you are going to observe. Then the third step is revising and pre-testing. Whatever draft instrument is critically should be reviewed by the subject expert and research methodologists to ensure the content validity and to identify the technical or conceptual flaws and should be corrected. Then pre-testing or pilot testing involves the administering the instrument to a group of similar to the actual study sample, and this helps us to refine our tool. This helps determining clarity, adequacy and freedom from biases. However, pre-testing alone does not establishes the reliability of the instruments. Now, the fourth step is coding of responses. If you are going for the coding, it is a crucial step in the questionnaire development or schedule development. It facilitates the data processing and analysis, and questions are framed in a manner that allow the respondents to be classified numerically. For example, responses such as yes or no may be coded as 1 or 2 respectively. Proper coding enables efficient data entry either manually or using computer software. Then another important aspect is establishing the reliability of the instrument. The reliability is statistically determined by estimating the reliability coefficient. This is commonly assessed through methods such as test retest method, split half method and Kudder researcher formula, and reliability may also be examined by administering the same schedule on 2 or more occasions to the same group. We have to remember that schedules in the process of data collection through the schedule, researcher have to ask the question and the respondents replies will be noted by the researcher himself. Then the translation of the tool if required, if there is any need, when tool needs to be used in the language other than English, it must be translated carefully. One widely used method to ensure reliability is back translation, and in which the translated version is retranslated into English to verify the accuracy and consistency of the meaning. And another thing we have to remember, that when we are going to use the observation or as a method of research, here we focus on the uses. It serves as a direct and effective method for studying various dimensions of human behaviors and traits. In many situations, it may be the only suitable technique for collecting the authentic data, such as observing the behavior of a mother or a woman in a natural home environment. So, observation also allows researchers to record behaviors and attitude as they occur in the natural setting, thereby capturing real time and context specific information is possible very nicely with the help of observation. Now, we will talk about the limitations. One of the major limitation of observation method is Hathorn effect. What is that? It happens when the subjects are knowing that they are being observed. When we are talking about the limitation, this is the major limitation of observation, where individuals may consciously alter their original behavior when they are aware of being observed, and leading to artificial or unrepresentative responses. So, suppose for example, if there is announcement then that principal will come to observe the cleanliness of the class, the students will try to clean their classes neat and tidy. Or maybe teachers are being observed, then they will be trying to go for the artificial behavior, that yes, they are teaching nicely, dealing with the student very nicely. So, this kind of knowledge that they are being observed either with the help of the recording or CCTV camera, or someone is coming for observation, that is called Hathorn effect, and this Hathorn effect is not taken as a good effect on the side of the research purpose. So, researchers should try to decrease or remove the Hathorn effect from the observation method. So, additionally, the observation method is also often time consuming and expensive, requiring the considerable efforts, resources and skills person required. So, now let us conclude regarding the observation method. This is a very vital technique that enables the direct and systematic study of behavior as it occurs in natural or controlled settings. It is particularly valuable for examining complex real life phenomena and cannot be adequately captured through self-reporting tools alone. The effectiveness of observation is largely depend on the careful planning and skilled execution, objective recording and ethical sensitivity, like go for the observation with due permission. When properly applied, an observation provides rich, authentic and complex specific data that strengthen the validity of research finding. The observation schedule complements the observation method by providing a structured framework for recording observed behavior in a consistent and systematic manner. By clearly defining behavioral categories, coding procedure and recording formats, an observation schedule minimizes the observer bias and enhances the reliability and objectivity of that research. Thus, the observation ensures the accurate data collection, meaningful analysis and ethical research practices, making it a useful method in educational, psychological and social science research. So, these are the references for your further reading. I hope you all will go through these references. Thank you and keep learning.